talking about this scenario B for quite a long time now here, and well, let's lay out the foundation the way we see it. So we have Harry Campbell, who owns Bath Depot, and the way I understand it is that the his sales are down to 10%. Now, following through to connections that he has, he's got Jack, and I can't remember the girl's name.
Jen.
Maybe you could help me with that.
Jen and Jack.
Jack, hey?
Jen and Jack.
Jen and Jack. Okay, so Jack is the guy that he imports cheaper goods from overseas, and he works out of his garage. So I'm thinking is that Harry Campbell, which at 10% of his sales, I can't possibly see that he would still have staff. So I want to address the staff issue, and that I can't see that he would have staff. So what he needs to be thinking about then is learning from Jack to go away, change over from the type of business, which is the bath refinishing, and go into plumbing sales out of his garage online, like what Jack does. So that's what Jack's going to help with.
Yeah, he can learn a lot from Jack because Jack has had a history of success doing something like that. If he's able to even just set Harry up with a simple framework of how to facilitate something like that, get involved with something like, say for instance, the North American #1 classified ad network Kijiji, www.kijiji.com could be an excellent resource for someone like Harry if used correctly. Also something like YouTube. Yeah, I think Jack is a extremely valuable piece of the puzzle for Harry. Now, one thing that we have talked about a lot, Gordon, is keeping Harry 100% self-dependent. Harry has to be, like he always has been, as his own boss, but now he has to portray himself online in a manner that he's never done before. So, yeah, we just have to basically take Harry.
That's the interesting point. Yeah, and one of the things that we've been working on is creating that online presence, which is LinkedIn. For sure, that seems to be the most professional site by any margin. And so, like the LinkedIn is going to present, allow him to present himself out to the public in a very professional manner.
Oh, for sure. And I think if he can put his business, well, first of all, he needs to put himself on to LinkedIn. He needs to create a personality. And by creating himself and his own personality, he's able to associate himself with Bath Depot and he's the president of a company. He is the CEO of a company, and he needs to present himself like this.
We talked about that. That's right. Yeah, that was a great conversation. Was when we were looking at or discussing the fact that when you own a business, that you get that different level of credibility. So kind of interesting. Carry on. Sorry.
No, I think he just needs to realize that he is. He's out there with the top dogs of today. He's competing with the Canadian Tires and the Home Depots and the Lowe's, and he needs to present himself like that. Just like all of these big conglomerates have, important information, accessible information online. They also have personal information to their past and present. So by putting himself on LinkedIn, Harry's actually able to put himself out there to past, present, and hopefully future customers. And something that's really interesting, Gordon, and I know you've looked a lot at this because both of us have been looking a lot into LinkedIn, and we're both adapting to it a lot over these past 3 months. And looking at the endorsements, and when you put your digital resume online and you put your history, for instance, in Harry's situation, he has the skilled trades. He's done the plumbing. He has a history of knowledge and renovations and understanding of that. So by putting himself out there and by appropriately putting out skills and expertise, like we have displayed here in the bottom right-hand corner, he'll be able to actually gain endorsements from past customers, which are extremely credible for Harry. He needs to create a foundation that shows people, look who I am, look where I've come from, look what I do. And also people can refer Harry as well. Um, did you want to chime into anything more about LinkedIn, Gordon, and maybe we can move forward with talking about YouTube?
What I'd like to do is let's just very quickly summarize, and I'm not suggesting the ending. Summarize. So, what are we suggesting so far? So, we've addressed LinkedIn. What are the other aspects of these?
Yeah, LinkedIn creating basically a professional, personal, but also being able to relate to the business, and by putting himself on there, Kijiji also. We can touch on our ideas for Twitter, which we've come up with some really excellent ideas, and also YouTube with portraying kind of a DIY. So we have two other areas, and we have about 5 minutes left of our consulting discussion here today.
Okay, so we have four that you've identified. I would suggest that two of them are ways to communicate, and two of them are ways to sell. Is that correct?
100%.
Okay. So that's kind of interesting. So then we'd have to take two branches here. So he needs to understand, how do you sell online and how do you communicate online? And so that would be like an evolving training that would go on, that can't be obviously presented in a 10-minute or 15-minute discussion. But very interesting that at least we can get it to that point, is starting to identify or breaking the major components away from the whole.
For sure.
Kind of interesting.
And I think with little guidance from Jack, when Jack is approached by Harry, the first thing Jack needs to do, and the first thing Harry needs to do more importantly, is get Jack to show him the ropes, so to speak. The websites nowadays, and more importantly, the social networking websites of today, are designed to be very user-friendly, very easy on the eyes, very calming. They basically write themselves. Someone with very little digital knowledge or knowledge of technology can work with these websites. So if he can get off to the right foot with Jack, and Jack can show him the simple frameworks of search engines, how to basically aggregate and filter information properly so that he can put himself out there properly, but also get what he wants out of it. It's important for us to basically, like we said a few minutes ago, make Harry self-dependent. He is going to be doing this on his own, and he's doing it for himself, and he needs to understand the ins and outs of everything. And I think when looking at Twitter, Gordon, what did we come up with there for Twitter when we were looking into the hashtags?
Well, a quick aside. Do you think he needs to learn the ins and outs of everything, or should he just be competent?
Just be competent. Ins and outs of a particular, ins and outs of a particular area with respect to one website. So, say for instance, if we were to introduce him to LinkedIn, we could use there is areas out there, like for instance,
we've been using LinkedIn for 3 months now, and I don't know all the ins and outs.
No, but who taught you LinkedIn?
I discovered it by my own.
Exactly.
On my own, sorry.
And look where you are today on LinkedIn, and look where I am today on LinkedIn. We are both extremely successful on LinkedIn in respect of 3 months of activity and being able to put ourselves out there. So if Harry can even put in a little bit of time every day and or bi-weekly or weekly, he can get pretty far in these social networks. And I think something really interesting that we looked at, do you remember when we were talking about Twitter and hashtags with respect to his company and what we came up with there, Gordon?
Yes. Yeah.